welcome to, I guess we're going with the name Joy and Coping at the moment. My name's Chip, and this is a bit of a new venture for me. It's probably gonna go badly, but we're gonna do it anyway. Yeah, and welcome to the channel, Joy and Coping. That name's a bit of a placeholder at the moment. I don't actually know if it's going to continue being that. I'm going to apologise. I have my dog behind me. He likes to bark and be generally quite annoying. So let's hope that doesn't keep up. So just real quick before I get into it, I'm really new to this whole thing. I mean, I'm not new to, I guess, making videos and stuff, but this is my first attempt at actually doing some real YouTube, not just random clips to send to family and friends. So fingers crossed this is kind of watchable. Basically what we're going to be doing here today is just some doodling and some chatting. I think it's a great thing to do, and look, throughout the video I'll be explaining a little bit more of why we're going to do it, but hopefully we come out with some good little doodles, you know. Alright, let's get into it so I can relax and actually talk. And I brought in some lavender. I thought that might make things nice in here. It smells really lovely, which is nice. Oh yeah, it's a bit limp looking, but she'll be right. Alright, let's get doodling, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing here today. And again, I'm sorry about the sound quality and the lighting quality. I hope that in videos to come I can actually get some more equipment and bits, and we can actually make this a lot more fun, a lot more pleasurable, and yeah, the sort of YouTube content that, well, I know I certainly like to watch. I love people jabbering, that's what I'm all about. Alright, so let's start with a nice big welcome. Alright, so what is this all about? Why am I doing this? So let me give you a little bit of history first before I actually explain why I'm doing this. So let's roll back the clock to what feels like a million years ago, which is not. It's only just a little over 10 years ago, which is when I left school. I finished year 12, which in Australia is like your final year of, or your senior year, I suppose Americans and otherwise call it. Your final year of high school. I had no direction. I was very much, well, if it's not already obvious, a very undiagnosed ADHD and potentially autistic individual. So I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was very skilled at lots of things. I actually did do a lot of, I did a lot of video making. I did a lot of, video making. I did a lot of art. I was really into photography. In fact, the very gear that I'm using today is it's probably quite relic tech by today's standards, but for me this still feels like, you know, pretty amazing stuff. I'm actually using a Canon 70D. My first SLR was a 40D, and I've since bought the 70D for purposes which now are kind of redundant, but anyway, we'll get to that in a later video. I've got lots of stories to tell, don't you worry. Yeah, so, sorry, was leaving school. It's going to be really hard to not tangent. It's going to happen, I apologise. And I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was skilled at many things. I was still really young. I actually finished school at 17. All my friends were 18. I actually started school early because in Australia at that time, if you were born before April 30th, which I was by a few days, you were often put into the year above what, you know, you would have normally gone into. So yeah, so I was younger than everybody else going to uni. Okay, sorry about that. I did mention this is some RKO tech I'm working with here. This camera is quite old and the lens is even older. it's gonna do some weird shit. So we're just gonna have to put up with that for a bit. Anyways, where was I? Oh yes, so I was in year 12 and I was finishing school and I didn't know what to do. The only thing that actually felt like it was even marginally close to what I would maybe do with my life was art. But, you know, honestly, at that time, I don't know if they still do it here in Australia, but they very much push you going to uni or TAFE or something of the like, some sort of tertiary education when you actually finish school, which I think is honestly nonsense. But at that time you were pushed because, you know, reasons. So I didn't really know what to do. I had attempted to work during my teenage years and it just didn't go really well. So I sort of thought, well, I'm not ready to join the workforce just yet. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm just going to go to uni and hopefully figure something out. And honestly, I don't think that was a bad move, but, you know, better things definitely could have happened, I think. So I went to uni. Actually, sorry, let me backtrack. I'm doing so poorly at this already. Whatever. I'll get better at this. I'm a little bit nervous. Again, I'm not really used to doing this sort of thing, so forgive me. Yes, so when I was at school, I spent most of every day doodling and drawing and coming up with all sorts of crazy ideas. And like I drew a lot of cartoon people, you know, I drew lots of plants and flowers and mostly just really cartoony bits and pieces. But, you know, I was very much an idealistic teenager that had big dreams of peace and hope and love and all that rubbish. It's not rubbish, but you know. So yeah, I drew lots of fandangled crazy people and I didn't really know what else to do with that. And I thought, well, you know, maybe if I go to art school, I can actually learn to do something. I didn't do particularly bad at school, but I didn't do particularly great either. It's that usual sentiment of both diagnosed and undiagnosed ADHD kids of basically if I applied myself more, I probably could have been amazing. But truth is I just didn't have that kind of brain capacity and I hated school very, very much. So yeah, so I did all this sort of cartoony stuff and I started uni, you know, really optimistic. I just got in with my local university here, which at the time was a pretty well-established big name university for Australia. Now, not so much. But at the time, you know, it felt really amazing, you know, to be in tertiary education and yeah, I don't know, it felt like the right move. And of course, all my friends from high school were all going to, you know, uni to do their engineering or otherwise. So I don't know, it just kind of felt like the right place to be for me. But yeah, I loved it. I instantly fell in love with uni, but I don't think uni instantly fell in love with me. I didn't cope very well in art school at first because at that time, again, I don't know if it's still the case, but there was a lot of push for contemporary art at the time. And, you know, we're still very much in contemporary times, I believe. But that's just not who I was. You know, if anything, I would say I'm now realizing this, probably more of an illustrator than, you know, someone who was ever going to make it in the contemporary art world. But anyway, I didn't know that. I didn't know that going into the course and stuff. I didn't even understand what that meant at the time. So yeah, basically I got chewed out really fast because I didn't realize that, you know, it wasn't a fine art degree necessarily, nor was it even... The interesting thing about my art degree is that it wasn't really anything specific. It was actually a very general visual and media arts is basically what it was called. So it was kind of a mixed bag, at least in the beginning. And, you know, I just sort of played with everything. I just, you know, went into it with all my drawing and doodling and whatever. And like I said, I had 2 mentors at the time that did not appreciate the sort of stuff I liked to do, calling it things like generic and some other nasty words I won't repeat, but, you know, it really crushed me. Like, I was absolutely devastated that first semester. I just didn't know, you know, I'd always done reasonably okay at school, so to go to uni and start getting poor marks because apparently I wasn't contemporary enough was really jarring. So unfortunately, I think a lot of people would have pushed back against that. I did not. I very much caved and just wanted to do well because, you know, my little ADHD brain hadn't yet grown into understanding that I was actually different and needed to do things differently from other people. So I caved and I masked and I basically tried to do whatever they told me to do, which is, might I add, really hard in a contemporary art degree because, you know, you're kind of there because you are different. That's kind of the whole point. But if you don't have any sort of self-driven, I don't know, aspiration, you're not really going to make very good artwork, are you? So, you know, if I could tell my little 17-year-old self anything, it would be, please just keep making what you make. You're probably going to get bad grades, but hey, just see it out. P's get degrees, all that nonsense. But anyway, hindsight is amazing in, you know. So yeah, basically I just had a really tough time with uni because I basically very quickly learned that if I was going to survive and actually do anything worthwhile at uni, I was going to have to shape up and be what they wanted me to be. So I tried to get into the mindset of someone who liked contemporary. Don't get me wrong, I think a lot of contemporary art is amazing and really inspirational. A lot of it's also trash, in my opinion, and honestly, I think from where we stand at this point in time in 2023, it's very elitist, rich people rubbish. But you didn't hear that from me. Anyway, so I basically like curved my style a lot. I basically stopped trying to do any of my doodling, my illustration-y stuff, and I tried to do portraits. You know, one of the things I, funnily enough, really enjoyed while I was at uni is in your first year they actually offered electives in certain methods of art making, and one of them was, well, drawing and life drawing, which is essentially drawing people in the nutty, which, you know, little 17-year-old virgin me was terrified at that concept, but it was actually one of the most moving, amazing experiences of probably my whole like art life. It really taught me so much about human anatomy. I think just the experience of sharing a space with someone who's so vulnerable but willingly with a group of other artists all behaving in such a mature but like sensitive, respectful way was just amazing. So, you know, don't get me wrong, there was definitely some amazing things I got from uni. Like I would not go back in time and tell myself to not go to uni because a lot of it was really valuable experience. However, you know, I really, it's quite interesting at this time because I'm learning a lot about my neurodivergence and stuff. And at that time, I didn't know any of it, and I didn't know that I was masking to such a degree that I was even masking in the way I made art, which of all the things I know how to do, art is the most personal, the most like fundamental to my mental health, really. So I think it's quite sad in hindsight that I didn't know how to just be myself, but you know, we learn from these experiences and we grow. But yeah, so I actually took a couple of years off in the middle of my degree for reasons, again, you'll hear all the stories at some point in later videos. But I went back and I did my final year, and that was during a very troubling time in my life. A lot of family issues, a lot of mental illness related issues, but I persevered because I'd come to the realization that I wanted to work with kids. And do not get me wrong, to this day, I absolutely love working with kids. I think there is so much beauty and joy we can learn from innocent little minds and hearts. But honestly, it was not so much a decision filled with passion. It was a decision in realizing I was never going to make it as a artist in a contemporary world because I'd been very jaded by my time at university. You know, I didn't really know what I was even making artwork wise anymore. And I had actually done some work with teaching kids art, which was honestly really amazing. There was a lot of difficult things I experienced, but at the same time, like, worth it to see these kids develop and learn skills, and I had a great time doing that. But yeah, so I did actually finish my degree, which, you know, now I'm like, holy moly, how did I manage that? But I did, and I wanted to, teach art in like primary schools. You know, there was always the potential to go teach at high schools, but I honestly, kids are just amazing. I don't know what else to say. And so I was like, all right, let's push this degree out. We've got this far, let's finish it. And then we can hopefully pick up a Master of Teaching or something. And like I said, up until this point, I'd never done poorly grades wise and stuff. In fact, I actually finished uni as a distinction average student, which, God, even just saying that out loud is like, what? That's not possible. But no, I actually did. I didn't get offered to do honours or anything, which honestly is fine because I don't think I would have coped anyway, even if I had decided to do it. But I did pass. I passed really well. Actually, my final year of uni was probably the best. You know, I'll elaborate. I'm already going way off tangent, way too conversational, but that's okay. I will go into all of this at some point. But yeah, basically, I went to another uni after that to start a Master in Teaching, which, you know, at first it felt like a really good move. You know, it actually had some career potential because up until this point, like, I kind of had only had odd casual jobs, not really making money, still living at home with parents, that sort of thing. So I actually moved away and I went to uni in the city, and, you know, I was living with my best friend at the time, and, you know, it was actually quite a nice time in my life. But I didn't even make it to the first assignment without already, like, barely scraping through the course. Again, because it's a Master of Teaching and not, like, you know, an average teaching course. I also chose to try and do it in a year rather than 2 years because basically I just wanted to get working. Which, in hindsight, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Chelsea, what is your problem? Anyway, so yeah, I essentially nearly failed from my first assignment, and I decided, well, I'm quite miserable. This isn't working out. I think I need to drop out, which was a really low point for me. I've had lower, but at the time it was pretty low. And so I basically just kind of drifted for a little while. And from there was sort of the beginning of many, many years of my 20s. Just all I can really put it as is like lots of mental illness challenges, lots of family challenges, friend challenges, employment challenges, identity challenges. And if I'm being really honest about it, that's still very much where I am at in life. But, you know, it's okay. I'm actually in a pretty fragile state at the moment. At this point in my life, I'm pretty bit of a delicate flower, a bit of a snowflake, as the boomers like to say. But I'm being forced to heal and acknowledge my brain and myself for exactly what that is, for who I am, for what my brain is. And in this time, you know, there's been a lot of depression and hardship, you know, lots of things, which again I will cover in lots of future videos once I'm a little more settled into doing this. But essentially, I've come to the realization that all I really want to do with my life is the very thing that I left year 12 wanting to do, which is art. You know, art's before everything from uni and everything. Like, art was my passion. Art is what I love. I'm a very sensitive, very creative creature with an ADHD brain, and I love exploring the world and communicating through visual mediums, and other mediums, but especially visual mediums. And, you know, for most of my life, it just always felt like art was that one skill I could always fall back on, where, you know, other things I tried to do, you know, other TAFE courses, other degrees, other careers, all fell through in some way, shape or form. So, you know, I've decided I really want to give this a proper crack, because I've never fully made myself vulnerable and tried to make art again. But the problem there is that because of all these experiences in my 20s related to art that were not positive, I kind of have a lot of problems around making art. In fact, I'm sitting here as I'm trying to talk and concentrate, you know, doodling, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm drawing. This is still very uncomfortable for me, and not uncomfortable because it's bad, but because this is the stuff I had to suppress when I went to art school. You know, I'll probably pop some pictures up later when I edit this of the kind of artwork I was making later at uni. So here and here and here. Honestly, not that great, if I'm being honest, but it was the stuff that I was making, and a lot of my creative self has kind of forgotten how to talk. I think that's a really good way of putting it. I've lost my voice when it comes to creativity, so I'm sort of relearning how to speak an old language. So this is me attempting to speak my first language, which is drawing, and it's not good, but that's okay. In fact, it's not just okay, but it is very much why I'm doing this. This is why I've made this channel, and why I'm talking so much gibberish to you now, is that I just want to relearn how to have fun with art again. Honestly, I used to do really funny, cartoony doodles, emotional doodles. Honestly, I just love saying the word doodle, if I'm being really honest. But, you know, I think there's so much that can be said from art. And actually, at one point in my life, only a few years ago, I actually studied to become an art psychotherapist, which honestly was amazing. And I wish life had taken a different course in 2021 than it did, because I still think I would be there now, probably doing it. But, you know, that's just not the way things went. And that's okay. I think this is a really important time for me and my partner to actually heal from a lot of the challenges of our 20s, heal from the challenges of family, heal from the challenges of not being diagnosed, or also being diagnosed, from being misplaced in life, from being an outcast, all that stuff. So what my intention is here is to basically make a YouTube channel where, you know, I document the process of trying to relearn how to make art again without feeling, you know, rubbish about it. And I'm quite excited, if I'm being honest, because I am seeing this as a bit of a science experiment, really, to see what happens, because I haven't let myself do this in a very long time in a way where I'm actually comfortable with whatever comes forth. You know, I've always had a problem with control and trying to mask and hide and, you know, isolate and all that fun stuff. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited to see if maybe there's a community out there looking for this sort of thing and wants to join in with me. I would love to do some collaborative doodling to just talk about art and creativity and mental illness and all the fun stuff, you know, all whilst doodling. I think that would be amazing. But look, if nothing else, you know, I would just love to combat the hurdles that I've both put up myself but also discovered you know, through my experience of my 20s and my life to date. Because I really want to make the sort of art that comes from my soul again, whatever that looks like, whatever it is. I don't even know. I mean, the thing is, you know, I've made a lot of different forms of art in my life, and the thing that I usually come back to is I love doing a lot of floral, black and white drawn illustrations of flowers, plants, still kind of doodly, but a little bit more sensual, a little bit more, I don't know, just a little bit more loving, I think, than a lot of my older stuff, which is a lot more comical and a lot more silly. But I think I kind of just want to find a combination of all of those things, because I think together they're all kind of amazing. So yeah, I mean, literally I'm putting out this first video knowing I'm not doing a lot of doodling, but I wanted to just get started, and I wanted to talk about what I'm doing and the fact that I'm doing it on YouTube, because I kind of have a lot of skills that I'd like to develop in relation to YouTube. I used to love making videos, and I used to love photography and all that jazz, but also that's more of my creative expression that I've lost over the years, you know, for all the same reasons I've already discussed. But I kind of want to find all of it back, and you know, if I could find some community on YouTube who are going through something similar or would like to join me in this, I think that would be amazing. And also I think it just keeps me accountable. If I haven't already mentioned it 1,000,001 times, I am ADHD. I really struggle with time management, with project management, with tasks, executive dysfunction, all that stuff. And I would just like something to keep me structured, to keep me wanting to try again every week to do something. Even if it's only half an hour of really terrible doodling, I want something that'll keep me accountable. And I think YouTube's a great thing for that. And look, if nothing else, I don't know, I mean, as a YouTube watcher myself since like 2005, literally, my favorite YouTube videos are just people being genuine and chatting about stuff that they're interested in. You know, it's my favorite. It's just genuine content that just feels good and fuzzy and helps you feel relaxed. And honestly, we're living in a very lonely time where I think it obviously would be amazing if we could all go out and talk to one another, each other. Oh, words. But realistically, that's just not where I think a lot of people are at. It's really challenging right now. And I think the more we can find ways to communicate with each other, be it through art, be it YouTube, be it a phone call, I think that would be really helpful. So this is me reaching out to the world going, hello, I still exist, I didn't die, my brain's broken, but apart from that, I'm here and I want to learn how to be human and make art and have fun again. So look, I'm gonna leave it there because I feel like I've already waffled on forever, but I'm really excited about this. I hope to, I don't know, see some people, maybe connect with this in the coming videos. I'm just gonna keep doing this as best I can. Okay, oh lordy, camera did it again. I'm gonna have to figure this shit out. But again, just to reiterate, thank you so much for being here, for making it this far, for listening to my waffling and letting me just get this first video out. Look, to be honest, I don't really think this is... Oh, hang on, I'm gonna have to flip the video, so maybe this is more correct. Yeah, it's fine. Look, this is what it's all about. It's about just having fun, doodling, experimenting with the human mind and experience. So thanks for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in some future ones. Cheers, chip out, bye!